I'm going to be talking about one of the biggest challenges that I had to deal with in my life, which was alcohol. And I want to explain how it started and how I ended, which is very difficult to do. Millions of people are dying of alcoholism, and it is not easy. Otherwise, everybody would be doing it. And I want to explain how it started. I wasn't drinking crazy until I was in my mid 40s. That I had no issues with alcohol. I mean, I only drank at parties, and that was it. Just like social, drinking, and that was pretty much the way it was. But when I was getting a divorce, and it magnified because I was in so much pain, especially that my divorce was not a very friendly one. It was very hostile divorce. And like in one day, I had everything. I go to work. I mean, actually, the night before, everything was seemed to be fine. We had nice dinner and very lovely evening. And I go to work in the morning, and then in the middle of the day, I got a call from my office manager, and he said that there's somebody that's here to serve you. I said, who is that? I thought it was a process server for a computer. I said, you take care of it. I'm busy. He said, I wish I could. It has to be handled by you. So someone is suing you, he told me. I didn't have any idea who could be suing me because I didn't do anything to anybody. So I couldn't figure out. So from my office all the way to the lobby, I was just brainstorming, trying to figure out who could be, on the other side of this. And when I got to the lobby, this guy handed me something, and he said, "You're served." And I looked at the paperwork, and it said Noveen versus Noveen. I couldn't comprehend. I mean, it took me a while to understand that it was my wife that wanted was suing me. So it was a huge shock, huge shock. All of a sudden, everything I had was on the line. My house, my more than anything, my house didn't mean anything to me when it came down to my daughter. She was only 3.5 years old, and she was the love of my life. I mean, apple of my eye. You don't know how much I loved her, and I still do. But it was so hard on me that I just kind of broke down. And I didn't even know where I was for a few minutes. And then I couldn't work. So, make a long story short, my life changed 180 degrees because the lawsuit was so unfair and so harsh. Basically, everything that I had was I was going to lose, including my daughter. Uh, Only Wednesdays and every other weekend, all of a sudden, was uh, time that I had permission to see my beautiful little daughter. And anyway, it changed my life. It was so devastating for me that my business, my daughter, my everything losing everything in just a matter of a snap. And so I didn't know how to deal with myself. It was so hard on me to live by myself in an apartment, waiting for the settlement and all that, leaving my beautiful house and um, my beautiful family, and being all alone in such a fast uh, change of everything. So I didn't know how to deal with it. Um, and the only thing that would give me a little relief temporarily was drinking. And after a month or two, normal drinking wasn't even doing it. So it increased. I drank even, stronger alcohol. So because of the impact, I'm not blaming, but I'm explaining. They had such a huge impact on me. Um, that whole process, especially when I basically said, you know, I'm willing to lose everything, but not my daughter. So in this process, alcohol was my only friend because when I drank, I would just forget all the pain, at least for the rest of the evening until the next morning. So it started to creeping on me to a point where I had to have a drink in order to feel okay, and because it continued. Alcohol um, is one of the worst drugs, you want to call it. Well, it is. It creeps on you in a way that catches some people off guard because you think you're in control until you're not. And when you're not, then you're the slave to alcohol, and you have to have it in order to just function. And I wasn't used to being addicted to anything, but basically, night after night, being alone, I did not want to date anybody. I couldn't even uh, entertain the thought of anybody else because I loved my wife at the time, and it just wasn't that easy for me to switch, just jump from one relationship to another, even though I had many opportunities. Um, my sister had a lot of friends, and a few of them were very interested in having a relationship with me, but I could not do that. So anyway, to go back to the alcohol situation, I started basically, drinking more and more and more until it got to the point where uh, it was out of control. I just could not, function the way and I wasn't used to losing control to anything. Actually, most people never saw me, act drunk, but it got to a point where it, to me, was totally out of my control, and I needed that to function. And it came to a point where I made a decision that I'm going to do it or die. I'm going to quit and quit. And a lot of people say go get help. One thing I want to say about that is if you are addicted to alcohol or drugs, you are. It's not easy to go get help. The help is like AA meeting. I mean, how is that going to help you when you have no control over your mind and the addiction? It does help from keeping away from, but in my case, because of my training and my practices, I believed it was, I started it and I'm the one who can stop it. No AA meeting. Actually, by going to AA meeting, I felt like I am giving into this addiction, accepting, because AA meetings that you're supposed to stand up and say, my name is so and so, and I'm an alcoholic for life. I refused to say that. Actually, I got up and I said my name and I said, I'm not an alcoholic. Everybody in the room, there was at least 60, 70 people in the room. It was like they were all taken back because nobody said that before. Everybody that got up, the first thing they said is, my name is this, and I'm an alcoholic. I refused. And when the guy asked me why I said that, I said, because I'm not. I drank, I drink right now, but I'm not going to drink anymore. It's my decision. You cannot put that label on me for the rest of my life and make me believe that my mind is so weak that I need to reconfirm that I am slave every time I wanted to say something. And then in a private class, well, not private, but smaller, because this was in a big room where a lot of people, and then you had groups of 8 or 10 in each room. And in that group, I said the same thing. Everybody said that they were their name, and it's like a mantra or something. When it came to me, I said, I'm never going to drink again. I don't even need to be here. I'm only here because I got a DUI. And that DUI was also a crazy thing because I was not under the influence. And all I had was a sleeping pill in my car. That a friend of mine gave me two the night before. I took one of them because I couldn't sleep. And the other one was in my car. And when they asked me if I had anything, I said I had that. I could have easily not said it. One sleeping pill. I mean, what's the crime in that? But as soon as they found that I don't have prescription for it, 8 police cars showed up, and all of a sudden they're treating me like a hardcore criminal. 8 cars in Newport Beach. Why do you have to send 8 cars? Later, I found out because they wanted to charge $250 per car. So that one sleeping pill cost me $35,000 to defend myself and get out of that situation. And I had to go to AA meetings. And anyway, but the good thing, the silver lining, is that that situation pushed me to a point where I had to make a decision. I thought, I don't ever want to be caught with alcohol in my breath. I am just done with it. As difficult as it was, I called around. This is what I wanted to get at. When you need help, there is nobody that can actually help you. You need to be, taken care of in facilities. You need to be under doctor's care because when you first stop, your body goes through a shock. All of a sudden, this addictive substance is not coming in anymore, and all your cells and the entire body craves it to act normal. And everywhere I call, it's $30,000, $40,000. I said, what? The people that have these kind of problems, they don't have $40,000. So this is for only rich family, rich boys, or I just couldn't understand. I cannot understand. There's so many people dying, and this alcoholism is such a huge, huge problem for this country and many other countries, Russia or many other countries. People are suffering from this um, alcohol, but there is actually no help other than people talking to you. There is no medical help to get you off this thing, to detox your system. And it was a horrible experience after I stopped. And my body went through so much in like several weeks. And all I had to do to get rid of all the pain I was going through was just pick up the glass and have, a little bit of alcohol, and I would be okay temporarily. But because a decision was made by the better side of me, by the wise me, because we all have a wise and not so wise side. So decision maker decides between, and I just already made the decision that no matter what, I'm not going to do it, even if I die. And for a couple of weeks, I had the nightmares from hell until it stopped going away. And I did. It was an amazing time in my life. It was the worst time, and in some way, I turned it around to be one of the best times because once I stopped, after I went through the initial shock and hallucination and all the problems that I faced physically and mentally, then slowly my body came back to normal. But that time, I didn't want to. Most of my friends were not there for me, and so I realized that I don't really have friends that care about me that much, even though I thought I did. So I became, kind of. I led a lonely life. I can't say lonely because I started to embrace it because my situation was that I decided to mm, just change course, change direction of my life, and started going to the mountains, especially to Upper Yosemite and Sierra Mountains, and week, 2 weeks, 10 days at a time, all by myself. I never used to travel around alone ever, but I started doing it because I wanted to be alone. That's how I could be thinking, writing, reflecting. And I started writing a very spiritual book, um, meditating, taking pictures of birds and butterflies, and just enjoying the beauty of nature. And I turned my life around in a big way, in a big way. I started developing, working a few softwares and came up with a winner situation and started a business and made it very successful. And I wrote a book that I'm still actually writing because my writing is never finished because I always learn new things. So I keep writing more and more. But I'm a writer. I started writing in 2006. I didn't know I was a writer until I started my first book. And then I was lucky enough to be able to sell it for $70,000. So then I believed in my writing. So then I started writing more and more and more, not for money at all, just my thoughts. And now with the help of AI and other softwares, I just speak it into my phone and then download it to my computer. And so I have a big book in so many notes everywhere. Anyway, so I beat this monster, and I'm so proud of it. In the process, um, my daughter gained so much respect for me, because at some point people around me thought I'm never gonna be able to quit, but I knew I could. There were times that my negative side would agree with everybody, but my that fire that I talk about inside of me, and my higher self knew that I could do anything, and which was beating alcohol. And now, years later, almost every time I go to parties of my friends, they all always ask me, "Oh, everybody's having a shot. Just have one, just one, just one." Say no. They cannot believe it. They still, after 10, 11 years, they still don't believe that I don't drink, and I don't suffer when other people are drinking. I actually want them to feel comfortable and drink, because I don't want them to hide it from me, because they're under the impression that because I used to drink, now I'm not having fun because I'm not drinking. In many cases, I see that my state of mind is perfectly fine. People come to the party at the beginning; they're kind of awkward. Not everybody's talking to everybody, and then once the drinking begins, everybody starts socializing, happy and joking and everything. And towards the end, they're going down because the alcohol level is going, the effect is going down. So their moods are not good. But in the entire time, I'm on a good level, very steady, and feeling better than all of them. So the thoughts that I had when I was drinking, that life without alcohol is boring, they were just thoughts. They were not reality. See, every story I say comes back to the same thing. They were all thoughts that, through repetition, my mind got this um, programming that um, this is the way it is. When I think I can't have fun without alcohol at a party, then I can't. But I changed that. I shifted that. And those days that I went to the mountains, it turned out to be one of the best days of my life, because I learned to enjoy myself. I could not be alone. I always had to have people around me. Always had to have people around me. But when I was alone in the mountains, actually, at the very first time that I was alone, it was by an accident. So my friends were supposed to meet me, and they didn't show up. So I ended up alone, and I panicked. And in the mountains, I panicked because I was all alone with all these groceries that I bought. $250 back then. $250 could buy a lot. These days, you get one bag and it's $1,000,000. But anyway, um, I was so panicky when I realized my friends are not going to show up, and I'm here, and I'm 400 or 500 miles away from home. What am I going to do with myself? But after one day of totally distraught and so upset with my friends, upset at everything, I my mind began to calm down. And next day, I realized, okay, they're not here. So I could do other things. I picked up my camera and I saw a butterfly, started chasing the butterfly to take a picture. And I took beautiful pictures of the butterfly. And then I started getting into taking pictures. And I realized I don't really need anybody. It's all in my head, thinking that I must have people because I can't handle the thoughts going on in my head. People that need to be around people all the time, they cannot deal with the content of their own mind because the only time they feel comfortable or good is when there are people around. So they don't have to observe certain thoughts and deal with themselves. So they constantly need distraction and they need people. I mean, I love, people that my daughter and, my wife be around me. I love that and my friends. But I do love being alone too, because that's when I can focus on certain things that I normally cannot when I'm in a group of people or when I'm in communication. I need time, and I need times to think and evaluate things. Try to see things that normally get buried under tons of other things. So I think being alone and being lonely are two different things, and I already made a video about this subject. That how you can achieve your biggest achievements basically when you're alone, so you can focus and create, whether it's music or art or in science, whatever you're good at, you can do it better when you're alone and focused. So basically, I'm done with alcohol, and now I see people that are in the grip of alcohol, and I feel really bad because I know how difficult it is for them to quit. And right now, actually, there is one person that's very close to my daughter, one of her best friends, that I can see him in that battle for his life, because people that drink, one of the things they get very good at is hiding, lying, because they have to. I did that too. When you are drinking and people that love you and don't want you to, and they ask you, "Did you drink?" Or say no. I learned every way I could to hide it by you know gum in my mouth or hiding the bottle or whatever, so nobody would know the extent. But so now I understand. I understand how it is and how difficult it is. But I also understand you cannot make anyone quit. They must want to, and they must make that decision that the end of this road is death and ultimate misery. So they got to get to that point to stop. The people that are around can help up to, large degree. They can help by trying to, maybe make an intervention or something on somebody and make him kind of give them the incentives they need to make that move and stop. And once you stop, the last thing I'm going to say about this, once you stop, you should never, ever, under any condition, have one sip, because When you stop, you build up this wall, this protection that you don't need anything. You don't need any alcohol. But when you take a sip or take a glass or whatever, you break that wall.